Hello, folks. Greg Gilbert, host of Python's Paradise, and continuing on with 1996 in film. Of course, I choose 5 from each month that I wish to chat about, and on to March of 1996. Still cold out. Still, yeah, a lot of snow shoveling. But I chose 5 films from that month in 1996 to talk about in an order of release. They are as follows. We have The Birdcage with Robin Williams and Nathan Lane. We'll be discussing Fargo with Frances McDormand and William H. Macy. Hellraiser 4 Bloodline with Doug Bradley and was directed by Clive Barker. And we'll be discussing Girl 6 with Teresa Randall, directed by Spike Lee. And finally, we'll be talking about Sergeant Bilko with Steve Martin and the late Phil Hartman. Now, with the exception of one, I didn't see Girl 6 in the theater, but I saw the others in the theater. Well, no, I didn't see Fargo in the theater. I didn't see Fargo in the theater because we didn't get it here. We did get down at the Film Society, but that being my first year doing film criticism, I only got to so many films outside our theater. But these were all March releases. Excuse me. And I'm going to go from bottom to top. And this is not a top 5 of the month. I'm just choosing 5 films that interested me and what my take is on them after seeing them. So I'm going to go from bottom to the top. And going from an A plus down to an F. At number, the worst of the 5 is Hellraiser 4 Bloodline. Now, I saw this at double billing with Black Sheep, which we got late. Black Sheep actually was released in February 1996, and it was actually my worst of February 1996 of the 5 films. I was quite interested to see Black Sheep. Didn't impress me. But I was also interested to see Hellraiser 4 Bloodline, and I liked it even less than Black Sheep, if you can imagine that. Black Sheep got a D. D as in don't see it. Well, Hellraiser 4 Bloodline gets a D minus. And the only reason it gets that D minus is because the special effects were great and graphically great. I like the subtitle Bloodline. In a way, it kind of referenced how the Bloodline's being cut off from this franchise, because this is the last theatrical release of this franchise. This is the only Hellraiser film I've seen on the big screen, and I don't recall us getting any of the previous 3 even in our theaters. I've rented the first one, and I have great respect for that first one. I'm not big on graphic gore in movies. I do have movies home in my Blu-ray collection. It's got graphic scenes in it, like I like Dario Argento and whatnot, but graphic gore just for the point of it, or graphic gratuitous violence just for the sake of it, doesn't impress me, and one of the most interesting thing about Hellraiser 4 Bloodline is it's directed by Alan Smithy, which of course is a name somebody puts up there who did not like the finished product. And I don't know whether it was Clive Barker or who it was that directed this film. I don't blame them for taking their name off it. I'd be embarrassed too. Takes place, of course, on a space station, which if you've seen Jason X or Leprechaun in Space, it's already in trouble right there. Unless it's 2001 A Space Odyssey or Star Wars or Star Trek, being in space in a movie is usually not a good thing. At least if you're a horror movie, for the most part. Alien, yes, that one worked, yes. I'll backtrack on that. But Hellraiser 4 Bloodline is not Alien, not even close. Um, you got a character that's about being interrogated, about to be arrested, given the backstory about the fucking puzzle box for the umpteenth time. And of course, you got Pinhead and the Cenobites, and they look great. And they come in and they dismember people one by one, and that's pretty much all you need to know. It fucking sucks. The bloodline is dead. It is, let's just say it's going a straight line. There's no heartbeat. It's going across. It is dead in the water or in the gutter, wherever this thing got pulled out of. Hellraiser 4 Bloodline gets a D-. Don't see it. I haven't seen Hellraiser 2 and 3. I'm not against seeing them. I have a lot of respect for the first one, so I would check that out over this shitty abomination of a film. That's the worst film of these 5. From here, they get considerably better. The next lowest of those 5 is a film I really looked forward to because I liked a lot of the comedians involved. It didn't quite hit the mark for me. It's called Sergeant Bilko. It's got Steve Martin, Phil Hartman, Glenn Headley, and Daryl Mitchell, and Dan Aykroyd. What's not to like there on the surface? The problem is what you're given is a very formulaic, very simple, and very wayward conclusion to the film, where you got a protagonist who's we're supposed to cheer for because he pretty much cheats his way through life, or is heralded for behavior that he's probably not supposed to be representing. With that said, I love Steve Martin, and I do find myself genuinely grinning when I see him on screen. Dan Aykroyd, Phil Hartman, of course, the guy that's trying to expose Sergeant Bilko, played by Steve Martin, and go into whatever lengths he can, including trying to pick up his girlfriend, played by Glenn Headley, who's trying to get him to commit, And other recruits, Daryl Mitchell's really good, but the film doesn't go beyond the surface. Now, it's not Hellraiser Bloodline shit, If you're a big Steve Martin fan, or you want to go back and look at Phil Hartman, who we sadly lost way too soon, and or you want to go back and look at Dan Aykroyd and whatnot, this could serve that. But they've all done better films, But they're not bad in this, per se, Excuse me, I almost fell off my chair. But it's serviceable if you're a fan of those particular comedians. But in terms of a screenplay, there's not much to it. It's just a basic idea with a plot kind of thrown together. Not a whole lot of thought gone into it. I give Sergeant Bilko a C. A C as in could have been better. But thank goodness it didn't reach the lows of Hellraiser 4 Bloodline. So, a C for Sergeant Bilko. Now, the other films I'm going to talk about are highly recommended. Now, there's always a best film of the 5, and then there's a favorite. And they can be the same or they can be different. Something that's a favorite may critically be not as good as another film. But my favorite of the 5 for March is The Birdcage, with Robin Williams, Nathan Lane, Gene Hackman, and Diane West. I enjoyed the Birdcage. I saw that twice in the theater. And Mike Nichols is a terrific director. He really takes you back into the 70s. I mean, it opens us this great panning shot or gliding shot over the water, which headed towards the lights of land where the nightclubs are and the nightlife. And you got We Are Family playing, you know? And it goes right into the nightclub. You got Robin Williams as the nightclub owner wandering through this great shot that kind of reminded me what we get for Boogie Nights opening the year for 1997. You know, Robin Williams going around, making sure everything is organized. He's juggling so many tasks. Robin Williams is top notch in this movie. He is so good in this movie, you know. I've seen Robin Williams bad in movies. When he's bad, but when he's good, he's spectacular. In the Birdcage, he's great. And of course, he plays a gay nightclub owner. Nathan Lane plays his star player. And Nathan Lane is dressed up in drag and comes out and he performs. And he is the star of the show. And he's often over the top, but he's over the top in a way that had me laughing. There's over the top good and there's over the top bad. Nathan Lane is over the top good, you know? And the plot of the movie is Robin Williams' son comes by. And of course his parents have divorced, but they're still in speaking terms, you know? He's just, you know, went another direction with his sexual orientation. So anyway, son drops by announcing that he's engaged. He brings his girlfriend with him, but here's the catch. Her father is the senator, played by Gene Hackman. And Gene Hackman's wife is played by Diane Wiest. The problem is, to make an impression, he begs Robin Williams to change everything about his lifestyle when the senator comes to visit, so they don't know that he's gay. And of course, Robin Williams reacts the same way that any of us would react. Nobody wants to change who they are to be accepted by somebody else. But being a good dad, he goes along with it reluctantly. But the biggest hurdle is getting Nathan Lane out of the picture. And getting Christine Baranski, who is his ex-wife, who is more than willing to come in and play along with this. But of course, things complicate things where Nathan Lane has to come into play. This is all done in a very sitcom style, which is one of the weaknesses of the film. Very sitcomish, but I'm going to say this. The performances are great. Nathan Lane is wildly over the top, but in such a joyous manner that I really had a lot of respect for the work he did in this. Robin Williams is the best performance of the film. You know, he's not over the top. He brings just the right note of realism and comic timing, and Williams is great. I really like Gene Hackman as a senator. Oh my goodness. Gene Hackman's a terrific actor, but seeing him do comedy, like I watch him in The French Connection and then watch him in this, you know, where he's trying to escape the public eye and he's trying to sneak through a window by a ladder. And Diane Wiest said, "You could have fell." And he goes, "I did, twice." And of course, he's buying the whole Nathan Lane being the wife bit, you know. And it's ridiculous, but yet it has a charm. I'm not going to give away how the movie ends, but it's got a great last line out of Gene Hackman and another character. I won't give it away, but I liked how the film ends. And it had a great payout. I went and saw this twice in the theater. Like I said, it's a bit on the sitcom side. But I'm giving it an A-. It's not the best of the 5 I'm going to talk about. for March, but it's my favorite of the five. And like I said, Mike Nichols really captured the 70s with this. So bravo on that. And rest in peace, Robin Williams. Now, the next two films is interesting because they both got an A between Fargo and Girl 6. And so, which one do I put in the top spot? Well, I think the next one I'm going to talk about is Girl 6. You know, Spike Lee does. One of the things I like about Spike Lee is he's one of these guys that does a lot of movies dealing with African Americans, traumas and trials and history. But he's also not afraid to dive into stuff like Summer of Sam, you know, and movies like that. Like, he definitely has a very diverse filmography. But I like the fact, and some people might call him polarizing. I don't. I like the fact that he makes films about his race, you know, and he does a good job at it. But he also tackles other subjects as well. One of the things I loved about Girl 6, number one, all the neon colors, the nightclub colors, you know. I love the color palette of this film, you know. And Teresa Randall plays a woman that wants to be an actress. And she's dealing with the chauvinistic attitude of the industry. In fact, you get Quentin Tarantino and a brief appearance in this. But she's having a hard time dealing with the attitude. She can't merge ahead as an actress. And she goes to work at a nightclub, and you get some other appearances. Spike Lee he appears in this. Madonna appears in this, and I like Madonna's appearance in this as well. It's not Evita level quality, but it's Madonna, and she fits, you know, given Teresa all the advice she needs to make it in the club. But she gets into a situation where she's going to do phone sex. And I like where Spike Lee goes with this, because the character decides, you know what? Let's go with the idea of pushing this as an acting thing. Because technically speaking, even though they only hear her voice, she's still acting. Because she's not passionate, but she's able to act passionate. And Teresa goes right into that world of phone sex and how to control the person on the other end without even having to touch them. Her ex-husband's in the movie who, not her ex-husband, but her ex-husband's one of the characters in the movie who is a kleptomaniac, but she's still connected with him. Probably not a good idea, but Girl 6 is an interesting choice for Spike Lee. I give it an A. It's a fun little movie, you know, and Teresa Randall does a wonderful job with it. And the phone sex theme and versus acting is interesting. But I think the best film, now as I said, my favorite is The Birdcage. But I think the best film of March of 1996 is Fargo. And the Coen brothers, with very few exceptions, usually knock it right out of the park, you know. And with Fargo has got a very complicated plot, and I love that. William H. Macy playing a car salesman who devises a plot where his wife is kidnapped by two criminals, one played by Steve Buscemi, who can't shut up, and the other is a big, brutish, silent guy played by Peter Stormare. And they got to kidnap Macy's wife so he can try to get the kidnapping money, ransom money, from her rich father. And everything that can go wrong fucking goes wrong. I think the heart of the movie is Frances McDormand as a pregnant policewoman. It's one of the best examples of a female hero in a movie. She's not doing anything action oriented or overly powerful, heroic. But boy, she brings a nice touch of humor, logic, and a winning attitude in this film. There's some scenes of uncomfortability. I mean, anybody sees this film, or maybe if you haven't seen it, everybody's heard of the wood chipper scene. Not something I really wanted to see. I'm not going to give away the context of that scene, but there's a body and a wood chipper in this movie, but it wasn't not something I needed to see. But I'll say this: the Coen brothers are brilliant with writing. This is a film they did just before they did The Big Lebowski, which is my favorite of their films. But I mean, prior to Fargo, they did Blood Simple. They did, Barton Fink, The Hudsucker Proxy, Raising Arizona. Terrific filmmakers and brilliant writing minds. And with this one here, when I think of Fargo, I think of Frances McDormand, who won the Oscar, and deservingly so, for this movie. Because I'm not going to give away any endings, but anybody that complains about, there's not enough female empowerment in movies, watch Fargo and watch Frances McDormand play a great heroine in this movie without having to be Wonder Woman. She's wonderful. And she deserved the Oscar. I give Fargo an A. Have fun with it. So, that is March of 1996, which takes us right to the end of winter for that month. April will take us right into still will be snow on the ground, but takes us into spring. But I mean, as I said, Fargo and Girl 6 get an A. Definitely check those out. The Birdcage, my favorite of the 5, gets an A-. Definitely check that one out as well. Sergeant Bilko gets a C. If you're a big Steve Martin fan, or you just want to check out Phil Hartman, one of the roles he had before he passed, you might want to check it out. It's a very simple movie, but maybe you might want to check it out. It's a C. It's not the worst that they've done. And for 1996, Phil Hartman has been in a far worse movie than that. So there you go. And of course, Hellraiser 4 Bloodline got a D-. Don't see that at all. Dig a big hole and bury it. Then maybe watch the original. So that's it. Check out Fargo, The Girl 6, The Birdcage. It's Python. Peace out.